Hey, what's up? This is Dare Saul with D3 Auto Sales in Des Arc, Arkansas. In 2010, I started my small independent used car lot with nothing but a storage shed, $800 in the bank, and a grass lot. Since that time, we've grown our business to sell over 100 cars a month and do millions and millions of dollars in revenue all around the U.S. Today, I'm going to teach you about my successes and failures in the car business, specifically on the model of traction. So in the early days of the car business, it was just me, a computer, my lot, and a storage building. After the first month, I was selling, 15 or 20 cars a month, and it was very hard to keep up with all the buying, all of the selling, the paperwork. I was the detail guy. I did everything in the beginning. And I eventually hired a title clerk that turned into my controller over the years, and she's still with me today. However, as your company grows, you start out with one, right? And it's kind of like not easy, but you can manage yourself if you're a disciplined person. But as you grow, as your dealership grows, and even if you're not in the car business, as your business grows and adds more people to the fold, it's harder and harder to maintain that level of not only accountability, but organization. And it's something that we've struggled with until we found traction. So once we got up to 20 or 25 employees, I was just pulling out my hair, like constantly managing this, list for this. I felt like I was still a one-man show, but I had all these other legs that I had to manage. I was literally going crazy until I found traction. What is traction? So traction is a book, right? It's a book. You can order it on Amazon right now. But it's also within the book, there is an operating system called EOS. EOS stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System. And what that is, it's essentially a series of meetings that keep your business on track. So every year you have an annual offsite meeting where you plan your big hairy goals, your 10-year goal, your 5-year goal, your 3-year goal, all the way down into your 1-year goal. And so you break those up into smaller pieces where it's manageable. In 10 years, where's our business gonna be? It's like light years ahead of where it is now. But we break that down all the way up until what do we have to do this week to get to our 10-year goal? And when you scale it all the way down, it's much more manageable. And so that's what the annual meeting is all about. Reducing your big goals down into manageable KPIs, key performance indicators. And behind me on the screen, you can see that there is something called a scorecard. The scorecard is what we develop during our annual meeting. This is something that we developed this December. We went off-site. I took my team to a resort in Branson, Missouri. We went off-site and we developed a scorecard of things that we have to keep track of all year if we want to hit our goal of this year. It's $45 million. So if we want to hit our goal of $45 million, we recognize that each technician has to pull a certain number of hours. We have to have a certain number of cars on the website. If you're not in the car business, you have to have a certain amount of inventory. If you want to sell a certain amount of inventory, right, you have to have that in stock. So for us, it's about cars being on the website. For us, it's also about lead generation. So that's something in the car business that we track every week, is how many leads are we getting? How many internet leads are coming into the store? And if you're not even in the car business, you need to be tracking your leads through either a CRM or some kind of system that tracks your leads and you have a good handle on your leads. So we also have to develop lenders in the car business. That was a goal, to gain another lender. We have to have more people, more salespeople. Whatever your weak point is in your company, you identify that. You have to bring more people in the fold, however you have to do it. For us, it was a certain number of interviews per week to get another employee, another team member. For us, it was also about lead conversion. So our BDC center had to convert several more leads than they were. So we broke those down into KPIs, right? Key performance indicators. So our BDC center had to have at least 40 extra shows a month. And so that's one thing that we identified in our annual meeting. The other thing that we identified is tracking weekly sales. Like every L10, and I'll get into that in a minute, every L10, that leader of that particular scorecard had to track how many sales we had that week to keep us on track for the month, right? And we also have to look at operating. For us, operating is getting the cars reconditioned. So when they come into the dealership, when they get checked in, we track how long that takes to get to the front line of inventory. For the benchmark is kind of 9 days or below. So by the time we purchase the car, it needs to be frontline ready on the internet in less than 9 days. And that's a really good key indicator for your dealership if you're making a widget or whatever your business is. You want to track how long it takes to make that widget and get it ready for the market. For us, another thing was a smaller part of the operating system was the operations part of it was detail. Like detail was the detail department was slowing us down, so we hyper focused on the detail department to get the detail department down in time to line. So down way below 3 days. Like if it's in their particular operating bucket, and that's a whole nother video. Then we want them to be less than 3 days, and that's something that we've accomplished already in the scorecard. So that's the scorecard. We've identified that, and then also in the annual meeting we've identified rocks. Now, what is a rock? Like, it sounds kind of crazy, right? A rock is something that each individual person holds. Like when you wake up in the day, like when you get to work, like things are just coming at you flying left and right. You usually have like a couple of minutes to get settled, and then just like, especially if you're a manager, you have people come from all different directions. A rock is something very important that keeps you focused. A rock is something that keeps you focused. It keeps you on track to where you need to be. So in this case, each manager has a rock. In the case of my sales manager, Randy, his rock was to sell 5 cars every Saturday. So that sounds kind of like the scorecard, right? But actually it's a rock because every day he's thinking about Saturday. What does he have to do today to get ready for Saturday? What are the things that he can do? Are there appointments to be made? Are there salespeople to counsel? Are there things that he can do for Saturday to get ready for Saturday so we can sell 5 cars every Saturday? Because that's one of our key performance indicators. If we want to get to that big hairy goal that we set, we have to sell 5 cars each Saturday, and that's very, very important. The rocks are so important because there's so many things that come at you, but a rock brings you back down, you have it written down, and then you have to report on that particular rock to the L10 meeting. So that kind of brings us to our L10 meeting. Like all those rocks and stuff, those are identified in quarterly and annual meetings. And then in the L10, we have our L10 every Monday at 9 o'clock. It starts on time, it ends on time. You have to be there, there's no exceptions. Death in the family would be the only exception for you not attending. So ours starts at 9 o'clock every Monday morning. And what we do is we go through the scorecard, we go through the rocks to make sure we're on track or off track, and to simplify traction and EOS down to the simplest level. If we're off track, if we're not selling 5 cars on a Saturday, or if we're not hitting some of these key performance indicators that I talked about, then we discuss it. We do something called IDS. First, we identify what's wrong. We discuss the different options, why it's succeeding, why it's failing, and then we solve the problem as a group, as a leadership group. And as an owner, as a high-level manager, to delegate these problem-solving techniques into to-dos. So we also have a to-do. So once we've identified the problem, we decide how best to solve it. We discuss it and we decide how best to solve it. Then we give that person a to-do that is passed down, and it is expected to be done for the next L10 meeting. Every quarter, you have a quarterly meeting that's off-site, and you reevaluate your goals. And what the book Traction identifies is like every 90 days, it's just human nature that we lose touch, right? We lose touch with the scorecard, the rocks. We get bored, right? So every 90 days, it brings us back to center. It gets us focused on the bigger goal, and so we can keep succeeding in our business. Guys, I know there's lots of operating systems out there. There's lots of meeting systems out there. We've chose Traction. It's one of several that's out there, but I guarantee you, if you put your dealership, if you put your business on a series of meeting schedules, it takes all the pressure off of you and you can delegate it to your managers, and it makes your business run so much more effectively. And also, it gives the opportunity that every week, as an owner, as a manager, every week, you can rest assured I can reset my business. Every L10 meeting is an opportunity to reset your business, get your team refocused so you can succeed and kick that big hairy goal in the butt, right? Hey, this is Dare Saul with D3 Auto Sales in Des Arc, Arkansas. I've grown a small independent dealership into a massive dealership that sells over 100 cars a month and does millions of dollars of revenue all around the U.S. I'm just getting started, and I'm sharing some of my successes and failures with you. Today was all about Traction. I hope you got something from it. Stay tuned, like, follow, subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to grow my channel. This is free content on things that I've learned. Hey, and guys, I'm still learning from you guys. I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you watching. Hey, go crush it.